Oops, they did it again.
Good morning, Mully. Happy Monday. I believe that we are sitting here, and for the first time we can say this about the Chicago Bears. The Bears have taken the North for now.
They got a half-game lead over the Packers, who really were ripe for the picking. Should have lost to Carolina, or was it the Giants? The Giants.
Giants yesterday.
And,
the Packers beat the Giants, and they were close to losing that game.
Yeah, Mike Kafka really wanted to say hello to Chicago by beating the Packers. But unfortunately, the Packers won by 7, but they looked seriously vulnerable, as they have looked pretty much for the last month.
No question about it. The Packers have come back. The Lions stumbled against Philadelphia. The Bears took care of business.
Bears won. The
Bears
win.
did what they had to do. They go on the road in a hostile environment, and they won a division game against a team that needed that.
They didn't score 20 points. The Bears, who have been scoring like mad, somehow won 19-17 despite some blunders on special teams. Let's be honest about it. But all's well that ends well, as Shakespeare taught us.
There's always going to be a despite. There's always going to be something that you don't do as well as you want. Despite Caleb Williams having 50% completion percentage, despite your defense giving up a drive when it couldn't afford to give up that drive, despite some special teams mistakes.
Drives. Yeah, I
you
think
won, you persevered. This is who you are 10 games into the season.
Well, you are, as Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are. And what the records say is that 7-3, the Bears are, as you mentioned earlier, number one. They are the top dog. They sit atop the standings in the NFC North. Now, the question is, will they ever give it back again?
Well,
because they're
that is the question.
Take it and never give it
the
back.
answer is not, you can't be as certain about the answer as you feel this morning or yesterday. I'm not sure you felt certain about that game until it was over. But you do feel like the Bears, big picture, are in very good hands. This is the Ben Johnson effect in full effect. And I think that you're seeing the evidence of coaching, the evidence of quarterback development in real time, and what
you're seeing is closing. I don't know how they're doing it, David, but it's extraordinary that they are able to come back. We have a little chat going on with the pre and the post game show, and whatever they were up 13, and I was kind of like, I hate a team up 13. You miss the field goal. A 45-yard field goal. The guy kicked a 54 one earlier, and you're kind of like, ooh, this is not a good position because 13 points. And then next thing you know, it's like this sudden turn of events where you just kind of fall apart. You give up a touchdown, then you get your quarterback sacked twice when he was protected throughout the game. Next thing you know, they're marching down the field. And we were just exchanging text, and Olin said, and I know he was joking, but he said, don't worry about it. As long as they get the ball back with 50 seconds left, they're going to march down the field, win the game. Like, literally, he just is an off-the-cuff kind of joke. This is how they do it. That's how they did it.
Yeah, it was a fifth comeback victory, and that is certainly something that
Bears record fifth comeback victory. That's the fifth time a quarterback has done it in a single season, the first time in Bears history that a quarterback has overseen that happen on his watch. And that's his sixth over his career, which is pretty damn good.
It's pretty good. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I think yesterday was as much about that comeback, Devin Duvernay's return. Caleb Williams gets credit for the comeback. He handed off 3 times to put them in better position. I thought at the time they were being way too conservative. If they had not hit that field goal and Cairo Santos would have missed, that would have been worthy of second guessing. Ben Johnson, I think, got a little bit more safe than I would have expected him to get in that last series. It wasn't necessarily anything that Caleb Williams did except for follow directions and give DeAndre Swift a chance to put the Bears down in better field goal position. They relied on the running game in the fourth quarter. This comeback wasn't a product of anything really special by Caleb Williams.
No.
It was a dominance by the offensive line. 6 of the 7 plays on the previous drive were runs.
Yes.
So this was a team that went into Minnesota committed to running the football, controlling the clock, and that had as much to do with it as anything.
No question. And Caleb looked like it, frankly, in the postgame. As he was going off the field, as he watched them win, he seemed like he was unhappy that the game wasn't on his arm, that he wasn't just throwing the ball, that they were just running the ball at Minnesota. But as you said, the offensive line has improved so much since that first game against those guys. It was pretty extraordinary, all in all, to watch them play. But also, Ben Johnson was, I thought, more conservative than we've seen him before. Maybe that's on the road. Maybe that's the big game that you had control of. He just seemed like he was more conservative. At one point, they brought on Tyson Bagent, and you thought, oh, here comes the trick play. It was a run.
They went to that too
right
many
side.
times. I mean,
Yes.
that got to be kind of silly how he
Yes.
was a decoy. I think also in the fourth quarter, he might have been reading the situation and adjusting to the game
Right.
as it unfolded, because it wasn't Caleb Williams wasn't hot, and I think
No.
that he still trusted him. But when you have the ball in those circumstances on the road, he decided to go to the running game because he probably felt like that was the safest way to go, and you could steal a victory. Not steal a victory, but you scored 19 points and you went on the road. That's stealing a victory.
It is stealing a victory.
The Bears made their own luck. You give the credit to the defense for the takeaways, but they escaped Minnesota as much as they left town, because
No doubt.
it was one of those games where you look back and the Vikings missed opportunities and the Bears took advantage of theirs, and that's the difference in the game.
Yeah, the Bears had the 2 takeaways, and they did not give the ball up. There were a couple of kind of scary moments, a fumble that Rome Odunze managed to get. There was a moment where Caleb is coming up in the pocket, gets hit, the ball pops up, but he recovers it. And then there was a would-be interception that showed that the ball was never caught. So it was really fortunate in a way that they have continued to increase what is an extraordinary takeaway ability, what is an extraordinary turnover ratio.
Yeah, the takeaways were something that you expected because of the erratic nature of J.J. McCarthy. But the Bears all season have won when they have taken the ball away. They have a really remarkable stat line when you look at the big picture, and they're in first place at 7-3. And the takeaways, they lead the league in takeaways now with 22, I believe. And their point differential, they've been outscored this year. They are in first place in the NFC North, and yet they have been outscored over 10 games.
They gave up 50-something points in Detroit.
That'll happen.
That game 2,
Yeah.
if you just break down kind of the numbers, it's pretty extraordinary. It's really amazing that a team can go 5-1 in one-score games. And again, we'll get into this in the Pick Six, but you saw it last year from Minnesota. So I guess at some point in the week, today's not the day, we'll talk about those one-score wins and whether they're sustainable, and we'll break it down and discuss it. But I don't think today.
No, I don't think so. Ultimately, though, it doesn't necessarily
in the division.
Yeah, because ultimately it doesn't matter that much. What matters is the fact that you see improvement, and what matters is that you are winning these games instead of losing them. The margin for error is very thin, but the Bears are winning on the margins, and that's coaching in the NFL. And that's what you have that you haven't had historically in this town. It's been since 2018 since you've experienced this much success this late in the season.
Yeah, no, they got a winning record. They are in first place in the division. You don't complain about that. And if you're giving out style points, it's been a struggle. The last month has been difficult. But if you're looking at results only, you should feel pretty good about it. And this was a division win. This was a road division win. The Bears haven't had many of those. They finally got their first win in the division under Ben Johnson, and they did it on the road at Minnesota. You feel good about that.
You do, because everything is about expectations and standards, and you're You're not the Packers who are ready. We're ready this year to take the next step and be a Super Bowl contender. They're struggling right now. The Lions, similarly. And then you look maybe in the AFC. The Bills, they won a game they had to win.
Yeah.
The Bears are in transition. This was always going to be the first year of a head coach, and you're going to take a step in the right direction. That was progress that you needed to see.
How about Kansas City? I mean, that's another loss for Kansas City. There are teams now
with 5-5
that are on the cusp. I'm just saying they're trailing in their division. You look at these divisional races, it's fascinating because the league is a little bit upside down. It feels very chaotic. It doesn't feel like there is a singular team, or you wonder if the singular teams can sustain. And I would include the Bears in that.
Pretty quietly, the Rams are putting together a heck of a season.
Really good,
Their defense over the last 5-game winning streak has been dominant, and Matthew Stafford's having a Hall of Fame caliber season this late in his career. So I think right now the Rams look like maybe the best team in the NFC. The Eagles, certainly, you can't count them out because Vic Fangio's dialing up the right combinations defensively. They win a game against the Lions, who definitely missed Ben Johnson. And the Lions going 0 for 5 on fourth downs. Dan Campbell, you love his aggressiveness, and you live and die by it. Last night, they died by it. They didn't take the points in a road venue against a tough defense, and I think they regretted it. He doesn't have anybody to talk him out of anything. It doesn't appear that way. So that's the NFC. I think when the AFC, you look at, you mentioned the Chiefs, they have fallen hard.
They have fallen.
The teams that are ascending, you look at the teams that are like the Colts, you look at the Broncos, you look at the Patriots, and then you look at the Bears.
Hey,
they're all in first place for a big reason. They have something in common. They have tremendous head coaching.
The Ravens have the same record now that the Kansas City Chiefs do, if you can believe that.
I do believe that.
I do too, because you thought that at the beginning of the year, but I didn't think 5-5.
But they started because they started so poorly.
Well, exactly, but they've made a comeback.
The power of the head coach not letting them settle, not letting them fold up and go home when they were, had 5 losses when they played the Bears. They haven't lost since before that.
And it's fascinating because you look at the very fact that the Bears now have 7 wins, and they need 10 to get into the playoffs, and you feel. I don't know. Are you happy that Aaron Rodgers apparently has a broken bone in his left wrist? So that would seemingly indicate he won't be playing the next game. So Mason Rudolph, get used to a dose of him. It could be another one of these taffy pull kind of games.
Yeah, you welcome that.
Exactly.
You don't need – that's all drama. That's television. That's fandom. That's great. I'm disappointed if he doesn't play because I would have loved that kind of storyline.
I agree with you.
Let's look at it from a film perspective. If you're the coaching staff of the Bears, you are thrilled that Aaron Rodgers has a broken wrist.
No question.
I mean, you are saying, all right,
saying,
come on down, Mason Rudolph. This could be our year.
You got to get 3 wins, and you look at that schedule, and I mean, listen, we should be talking about they can win the North, they should keep the North. I don't think I've heard that from anybody.
I don't think
I don't think we're going to hear that for a while. But I'm saying, where are the 3 wins coming when you look at their schedule?
It's not that hard to find them.
It isn't that hard.
Because
it is not.
If you're a Bears team,
right now.
the way they're playing and what
they're getting
doing,
better.
They're rising to the occasion in the fourth quarter. You could see them winning Sunday against a backup quarterback. You could see them beating the Browns when they come to Soldier Field. Splitting with the Packers is not inconceivable. There's 3.
They did last year.
There's 3.
That's all you need.
You get a race to 10. You get to 10. You're in the playoffs. Historically, you could be one of those teams that gets to 10 and doesn't make it.
Right.
It's percentage points, and you're on the outside looking in. And you know what? That would be wildly disappointing in Chicago. But
I agree.
But again, you go back to what was the objective this season to begin? It was Ben Johnson's first time as a head coach. He's got all the money. You got a quarterback that he needs to develop. Those 2 things.
That's what counts.
That's what's going on, and that's what counts. So I think.
Yeah, that's
every
what's
week,
sustainable.
Yeah, that's sustainable.
That's what you look at and you try to anticipate and you be hopeful about. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with winning. I felt more deflated about their home performance against the Giants than I did in this game because they led this game for the majority of the game. Well, it would have been, you want to talk about stealing a game, it would have been the Vikings stealing one at home.
It would have been.
Had they won that game.
And you're also going against a coach and a staff that has such a great record and is a model of staffs when it comes to one-score games and victories.
Right.
And you beat that staff and that team in a one-score game in their home. So that's the most encouraging part of this. You don't have to worry about style points. All you need to do is see progress. And this is fun because for a lot of reasons, but for one of them, for me, every week has not necessarily become a referendum on Caleb Williams and his development. It's become recalibrating your expectations because the Bears are better than you thought they would be.
How many games did we pick them for? I think we had the same.
We both had 9 and 8.
That is. It feels like it's in the pocket. Feels like that's going to happen. And like I said, get to 10.
Well,
it's not that hard. They just got what they needed. Feel good about that.
And Mully, we'll talk about this as well throughout the show because we haven't spoken since the big news Friday afternoon. The Bears are getting healthier.
Jaylon Johnson coming back. They started the clock on him, and he returned to practice Friday. That kind of blows my mind a little bit.
It blows my mind as well.
Because he's on the way back. He's going to beat Kyler Gordon back because they haven't started the clock on him yet.
What we need to try to do this week is get one of our sports medicine experts, maybe a team doctor, maybe Dr. Brian Cole would have a perspective on this. I want to know how this is possible because this was a pretty delicate surgery.
Yes.
It's a groin injury.
Yep.
It was torn off the bone the way it was described.
Yeah.
Here we are. That was September.
The way it was
We're in November.
By his own words, I think he said on the score that what happened was he had injured his groin. And then he injured the other. It kind of extended.
Compensating.
And that led to the surgery. And now he's back.
It seems remarkable.
It seems too good to be
nonetheless, true. If he comes back in December, and T.J. Edwards comes back in December, and Kylie Gordon comes back in December, you've done this without 3 starters on your defense that are paid handsomely.
Essential players, I'd argue.
Yeah, to be the core of that defense. So what happens to that defense? It gets better?
Is Tyreek Stevenson okay?
I don't know about that. He looked like he was banged up. It is a little worrisome.
Yeah.
They've got a team that they, are going to have a hard time against DK Metcalf with the Steelers.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
And it's a great challenge. But we'll take a moment. Nashawn Wright had a special day. Yeah. And you felt good for the young man because of all that he was going through.
He had lost his coach, one of his coaches.
Laney College coach.
Shot and killed.
John Beam was killed last week.
Yes.
At the age of, I think, 58.
Unbelievable.
And John Beam was the coach who, when Nashawn Wright was at Laney College with his brother, I believe, changing from a wide receiver to a defensive back.
Yes.
Had kept in touch. He was the guy who went to the Wright's house with the two sons whose father was murdered in 2017 and took him in and became a mentor to both of them apparently. And yesterday,
what a horrible loss for him.
Terrible loss.
And he was so emotional after and that was
went down to one knee.
An amazing pick.
It was an amazing pick.
He really got up.
He high pointed it like a wide receiver would.
He did.
He got down on one knee. He said a prayer. You could see him making the sign of the cross.
Yes, you could.
And the emotion came out after the game. John Beam was just in Chicago before the Saints game, visiting Nashawn Wright. And so when you have that kind of moment, you feel good for somebody who has been a very good, unexpected contributor, starter on this defense all season long. So Nashawn Wright, great testament to his perseverance, and just had to be a very difficult week for him. And it's going to be difficult moving forward. But he's in an environment now that's very supportive. That defense is very aggressive, and you like what you saw from them from the takeaway standpoint. J.J. McCarthy, he looked like a guy. He had one good series in him in the fourth quarter.
I mean, it was a bit frustrating that he was as bad as he was, and then all of a sudden it showed up. He starts, and it showed up on a 4th and 4 play. That's when they connected. He hits Jordan Addison for a first down. Then all of a sudden, they're making every catch and they're making every throw.
He got hot.
And you're just sitting there like, goodness gracious, don't tell me. You had him at 4th and 4.
It was like, here we go again.
Yeah, that
because
was rough.
For the first 3 quarters, there were some non-competitive incompletions that were just bad misses.
It's the first time this season that the Bears failed to score on the first 2 drives. They went 3 and out and 3 and out on the first 2 drives of the season. They have scored on one of those drives up to this point.
But the Bears didn't make them pay. The Bears did not, or I'm sorry, the Vikings did not make him pay.
Were equally poor.
Yeah, and
initially,
because JJ McCarthy, it's stunning.
I got to tell you,
I'm very surprised.
10-3 seemed insurmountable. The problem was the Bears were settling for field goals and weren't scoring touchdowns. So you get to halftime and you're just kind of looking at the score, thinking, well, they should be ahead by more than that. They've dominated a lot more than it shows in the score line because they weren't able to score touchdowns, and that's worrisome.
Cairo Santos is the hero this morning. He was close to being the GOAT.
Oh yeah,
and he came through again with his second chance. Missed a 45-yarder. You're like, you're indoors. Come on now.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? And then you hit a 48-yarder to win the game.
I mean, I'm ready to just rail about special teams yet again. And the 2 game balls, well, there were 3 game balls. They went to the team president, as we mentioned, because I think he built that building and the sun was in everyone's eyes.
He designed it.
They went to the
and it's his birthday today.
And it's his birthday. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
That was an edict from above, it seemed.
And
but nonetheless.
But the players were both special teamers.
Yes.
The 56-yard return, was that what it was? 56?
Devin Duvernay.
That was the equivalent of a shanked punt the week before. That was an amazing return and an excellent setup for the finish of the game.
Pro Bowl returner, but he hasn't been since 2022.
No, and I don't think he'll be this year. He
I
only
doubt
had
it.
1 return in the game. That gets you a game ball. And, of course, the aforementioned Cairo Santos. Did you see his dance?
Yeah, I saw his dance.
Are you gonna dance?
I'm not doing
like
the gritty.
That?
No.
You're gonna dance like that?
I can't really do that. No.
Are
you asking if I am? No.
I asked you. If
no,
you would.
I'm not doing that.
David's going to do it later.
How do you miss a field goal like that and do that dance? I just don't. I don't.
Well,
because you won the game.
You won the game. You hit the field goal.
You won the game.
That was like Michigan.
Dustin.
That was like Michigan carrying their kicker off the field, beating Northwestern at Wrigley.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy missed 2 field goals, I think, and you carried him off
Dustin,
of Wrigley Field.
You overcome things.
turnovers?
You experience joy, ecstasy, see
win.
agony.
Act like you've made a field goal in your life.
Just win, baby.
Act like you've made a field goal.
He acted like he'd won the game with a field goal.
Agony and ecstasy. You know, there's quite a range there. If you experience one, you appreciate the other.
I did go back to my childhood with ABC. You just mentioned it.
Good. Jim McKay?
The Jim McKay.
Thank you.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Good.
Some of us like to dance when we win. Some of us like to express ourselves through the body. Mr. David will do his Cairo Santos dance.
I don't know why he got that. I'm not doing the Cairo.
You need to do the Cairo. You have to do the Cairo because you didn't even want him on the team.
Well, listen, after he missed a 45-yarder, I was wondering what Jake Moody was up to.
Dance, David. Dance like Cairo.